the last one they're doing?
The last Transformers movie?
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever going to be a last Transformers movie.
No?
Looks like Wilbur's up to no good. That's cool. All right. Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show, people. My name is Ben, here to answer your shooting questions. Here we got Mr. Matt and Mr. Nick. Say hello, guys.
Hi.
Hello, guys.
You
How's it going?
you can't just wave, Nick. It's got to be verbal.
I expect everybody watches the video.
They do not. I can assure you. Idiot. Hey, Ben, I have a question for you and the boys for the podcast. Do you believe that at a certain point, developing accuracy matters more than speed to be in contention in major matches? Oh, God, sorry, guys. Ugh. My thought process is like this. At a certain point, once a shooter has reached GM, let's say, and can pretty well dominate locally or regionally, you can only really pick up a tenth of a second here or there on splits, transitions, draws, and reloads. The average pickup shot probably costs half second or more, since many are on steal or partial targets, and that's without considering the points scored benefits of being more accurate. Can focusing on accuracy over speed be beneficial for overall speed gains to top-level shooters who've already developed a high level of speed, or should we always be pushing for more speed and accuracy evenly, even if the speed gains are at some point measurably very small? Thanks. Jesus. What do you think about that, Matt?
I think it's pretty much true. At some point, you're going to run into where you can't go any faster. Just because the shots are difficult or the stages are difficult, navigation through the stages. So, yeah, if you can run everything as fast as you can, move and shoot everything on that, you're going to run into a speed block at some point.
So what would he focus on then?
I wouldn't say accuracy. I'd say, match shooting, stage shooting.
Yeah. What do you think, Nick?
I think you better keep focusing on both, personally.
Yeah.
Look at your major match results and see where you're deficient. If you have the opportunity to shoot against, truly top-level shooters on a, semi-regular basis, this would be ideal. And look how you're doing on those metrics on different kinds of stages. But, there's been a lot of matches won recently, one way or the other. So, you got to have it all. If you want to compete at the level that you're talking about, you got to have it all. You can't give up anything.
Well, okay. I guess I have a couple comments. First, to the general proposition that if you're really fast, should you worry about being more accurate? I would say yes. And if you,
Yeah.
Matt, I think you're breathing into your mic.
Okay.
Sorry. I get a lot of complaints about that shit, so we have to be more sensitive to it. Anyway, obviously, if you're fast already, you should work on being accurate, which is pretty simple way to put it. That seems clear to me. That's pretty obvious. But a couple ideas that you might want to think about are, instead of looking at speed, start thinking in terms of being more efficient, because I think people reach a point where they feel like they're not fast, but if they look for little efficiencies, things like transitioning better or reacting quicker when they're done shooting and getting moving to the next place. I think there's a lot to be gained there, and it's not just about being fast, it's about being more immediate with anything you're doing, like very little delay from one action to the next. That's one thing that you should always be working on. And the other thing is, think about how you're defining accuracy. So I would look at your accuracy in terms of a big picture, like in terms of a whole match. So I think once you get to the point where you can shoot A's and close C's on most stages, unless you have a mistake, that's a good place to be. But then if you view accuracy more in terms of like a match breakdown, where you have a couple stages that you picked up a penalty on or something like that, like that'd be where you start to see those things. And in any case, once you get it gets more and more granular as you go in your development. As let's say you're pretty fast and you're pretty accurate, you just keep looking at it and looking at your abilities, I would say, in more specific ways, and you're always going to find places where you can improve a lot. That's just me. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah. One other thing I'll mention here. So there's a ceiling, and I'm not saying anybody is there or most people aren't even close, but there's a ceiling on how accurate you can be. Okay. Theoretically, there's a maximum. There's not a maximum on how fast you can be. You can always be faster.
What about the speed of light?
I think they're working on that. I think that's being challenged. But, if you're shooting 95% of the points consistently, what's left for you to do is go faster. So.
Yeah, but how many people shoot that kind of points consistently?
Like I said, not many. Most of us can work on both. But I don't think you need to just press one over the other forever. Focus. You can focus on one or the other, but if you're spending a month or more focusing on one or the other, to the exclusion of the other, in my opinion, probably not doing it as good as you could be.
And the other thing to point out here is the guy sending the question has probably gotten to the point where he goes to a major match, and but for one or two stages where he made some accuracy error, he would have done really well. You know what I mean? Like once guys get to, what would you say, Matt, like 85%-ish, 90%-ish at an area match type of a thing? Once guys get to that level, they always, would do really well, but for something, some stage or some shit happened.
It's like one little mistake crushes your match at that point.
What's that?
At that level, all the levels are like that in their respective skill level bracket.
Not really.
I was just saying
Go ahead.
The better you get, the more one little mistake is really going to crush you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you're competing against B-class guys, they're all making a ton of mistakes. You can make a mistake here or there. You probably come back from that. Once you get to the very top, somebody's going to do it right. And if you don't, you're going to get hammered. I mean, that's the way it is.
Yeah. So I think that's what he's speaking to. And it's not really so much accuracy, it's consistency, right? Where you can do whatever, you could do what you know how to do over and over again without a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
That's the whole game.
Yeah. Well, it is once you know what you're doing, yes. Okay, let's go to the next question. When visualizing your run before you shoot, how many details do you include? Do you visualize the type of sight picture and focus you will use for each target, or do you just let that happen naturally as you shoot? What do you think, Matt? Interesting question.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. I mean, it depends on the complexity of the stage, I think. A lot with how deep you're going to go into sight pictures on targets and all that stuff. I mean, the first step is memorizing where the targets are and what the targets look like. I think you can take it down to steps. First you want to know where all the targets are and what you're going to shoot at, so you're not forgetting nothing. For sure.
For sure.
And then I think if you have a hard shot, like say a headshot at 20 yards, I would actually visualize what the sight picture and what the trigger is going to feel like when I'm shooting it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do that in the visualization.
But you won't do that so much for the closer range shots.
I'll actually focus on relaxing my hands a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't get trigger freeze or anything like that.
All right, that's pretty interesting. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to throw out a fairly similar answer. I mean, to me, this is kind of a case of, see what you need to see or whatever. But, if there's something that triggers, or if anything if there's anything that's important to do during the stage, I visualize doing that. Okay. So if my feet have to be in if I have to be in a perfect position to see some set of targets, I'm going to visualize getting my feet into that exact spot. If I got a really hard shot, like Matt said, I'm going to visualize seeing that, that equal height, equal light in straight trigger press. One thing I started doing early in the year that kind of helped me more is like even on wide open hoser stuff. My transitions on that kind of thing is not great, and it's still something I'm hoping to improve throughout the course of this year. But just visualizing an extremely rapid visual transition is one thing that kind of was helping me in practice a little bit. So anything that's crucially important to execute well, I would say if there's a detail there, it should be in your visualization.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Well, what I would say is if I think it's anything where I think I'm going to get tripped up, that's where I start, paying more attention to the visualization. So when it comes to targets, if it's close range targets, high speed targets, but they're kind of spread apart, then I start taking a lot of care with the transitions, because it's so easy to pull off a target or start ripping shots before you get on one. If the target's really tough, yeah, of course, pay attention to, you actually put into your walkthrough. Part of your visualization is I'm going to, grip the gun hard and make sure I'm pressing the trigger straight and see a clean sight picture for every shot, that kind of stuff. Yes, absolutely. But guys, I wouldn't say that we do that in all cases for all targets, right?
No, I think it's exactly what you said, something that's going to trip you up. Either like a super hoser target mixed in with like some mid-range ones you're either going to slow down on it naturally because you're slower on the other targets. You want to hammer that one really good. Or same as opposite with the long shot in the middle of some hosers. You want to make sure you actually hit that and execute on it right.
Yeah. It's just so you pay, the more likely you are to get tripped up, the more attention you pay to that kind of shit.
I like Nick saying the feet position and something like that. That's really critical. A lot of people skip.
It doesn't.
And you can see people waste a ton of time on it.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be target visualization. It's any place on the stage you think you're going to get tripped up. The way to counteract that is visualize more, visualize better. Yeah?
Helps a lot on activator sequences also, where you're just driving your eyes, just planning on driving your eyes right there, and don't look for the steel to fall or anything,
Yes, and you're also planning on, you'll see the swinger start to move out of the corner of your eye and try not to get distracted by that. Just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, that makes sense. We don't have much else to add.
It's a big part of this game, right?
Yeah, we don't have much else to add to this, do we, guys?
Anything that's crucially important to execute, that's what I'm really focusing on visualization.
That's what we're giving people, a 13-minute podcast this week.
Dude, we can't help it if we're good and efficient answering questions as well.
You're right. All right, folks. Well, that's all we got today. If you have a shooting question you want the answer to, go to bensteiger.com. Send me your question. The guys would love to field it. I know they really love taking questions. Yeah.